I'd bet that some of you have never heard of Yoruba, which is stunning because it's an incredibly important language, maybe just not in your part of the world. It's spoken by somewhere between 30 and 45 million people, and that number is going to climb rapidly in the coming decades because of the massive population growth in West Africa. Yoruba is one of the three main African languages of Nigeria, along with Hausa and Igbo. The official language of Nigeria is English. In Nigerian Pidgin, an English-based Creole is widely spoken, but Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo are widely used amongst their respective ethnic groups, as are hundreds of less widely spoken languages. And because of the large number of Yoruba-speaking immigrants living around the world, it's the most widely spoken African language outside of Africa. Obviously, I mean languages native to Africa. English doesn't count. Here's a sample of what it sounds like.
Ọmọ ìlú Ìlárá-Mọ̀kín ni mí. Ìlú yìí wà ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo tó jẹ́ ìkan lára àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ mẹ́rìndínlọ́gbọ̀n lórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Ẹ̀yà Èkìtì ni wá nínú ẹ̀yà Yorùbá. Ìlú yìí súnmọ́ ìlú Àkúrẹ́ àti Ìgbàrà-Òkè. Èdè ìbílẹ̀ tí a ń sọ jẹ́ èdè Èkìtì tó faramọ́ Yorùbá àjùmọ̀lò púpọ̀, ṣùgbọ́n ó yàtọ̀ náà. Púpọ̀ nínú àwọn èèyàn wa ń sọ èdè Yorùbá àjùmọ̀lò náà. Èèyàn bíi 140,000 ló wà ní ìlú Ìlárá. Àdúgbò 5 ló wà. Àdúgbò Òkè Òde ni ẹbí mi ń gbé.
Yoruba is mainly spoken in southwestern Nigeria, including the capital city Lagos, though many languages are now spoken there, and dialects closely related to Yoruba are spoken in southeastern Benin and parts of Togo. Along with Yoruba proper, these dialects are part of the Yoruboid language group, which form part of the Niger-Congo language family. Yoruboid includes Igala, Edekiri, which splits into Itsekiri, the Ede dialects spoken mainly in Benin and Togo, and Yoruba dialects. Ede dialects are sometimes considered Yoruba dialects, as they are very closely related and their speakers identify as ethnic Yoruba people. Yoruba proper has many dialects, but there's Standard Yoruba, which serves as the formal and written form of the language, and a bridge between those dialects. Yoruba dialects and related Yoruboid languages are spoken throughout Yoruba land, but all the Yoruba people see Ile-Ife as the origin of their civilization during the Ife kingdom, which was dominant between the year 1000 and 1420. In the Yoruba tradition, Ile-Ife is thought to have been founded by Oduduwa, a Yoruba king thought to be divine. But Yoruba civilization didn't consist of just a single Yoruba political entity. There were numerous Yoruba city-states that spoke Yoruba dialects or related Yoruboid dialects, including Oyo. The Oyo Empire surpassed Ile-Ife and became the main Yoruba power from 1600 to around 1800 AD, until internal conflict led to its downfall and a century of warfare. After its downfall, the British expanded their influence in the area and established the colony and protectorate of Nigeria in 1914, incorporating the Yoruba-speaking areas in the southwest. Standard Yoruba was put together in the 1850s by Samuel A. Crowther, a Yoruba Nigerian and the first Anglican bishop in West Africa. He published a grammar of Standard Yoruba and translated the Bible into it as well. Standard Yoruba was based on a number of dialects, but mainly Oyo and Ibadan dialects. Its orthography has gone through several changes since then. It's written in a Latin-based alphabet, but it makes use of a number of accent markings and diacritics. And that brings us to an important feature of Yoruba. But first, let's talk about a software tool with numerous benefits for all of you world travelers and language enthusiasts. I'm talking about the sponsor of this video, Atlas VPN. Right now they have an amazing sale price of just $1.99 a month, which you should definitely take advantage of. I use Atlas VPN to view content online that's exclusive to certain countries. When I want to watch shows or movies in a different language, I use Atlas VPN to make streaming services think I'm in a country where that language is spoken, giving me access to more local content. You can also use Atlas VPN to keep your Google searches and downloads private, like if you're traveling in a country where an invasive government might be monitoring your online activity, or if you're worried about big tech using your data. It also stops illicit ads, malware, and trackers, and notifies you of attempts to use your data. Also, a VPN can help you get the best online prices, like the time I saved hundreds of dollars on a stock music subscription by using the American version of the site, rather than my local version. I prefer not to be ripped off, thank you very much. So Atlas VPN is a very useful tool all over the world, and it's the best deal all over the world, at only $1.99 per month for a 3-year subscription, on unlimited devices, with a 30-day money-back guarantee. But time is running out, so be sure to lock in that low price by clicking the link in the description down below. And now back to features. Yoruba has 3 tones, which are shown in writing. High, with an acute accent, low, with a grave accent, and middle, these days with no marking, though it used to be shown with a macron. For example, look at the word for cat.
ológbò,
It has a middle tone, then a high tone, then a low tone.
ológbò,
The tones are phonemic, and changes in tone result in changes in meaning.
ogún,
Means 20,
ogun,
means war,
ògún,
is the Yoruba god of iron, war, and technology, and
ògùn,
is the name of a river. Another marking you'll notice in text is a dot below E, O, and S. It changes the vowels from close to open, A to E, and O to A. It changes the S from S to Sh. There are 3 types of syllable in Yoruba, those that consist of a vowel, a consonant plus a vowel, or a syllabic nasal. In the example,
ògún,
there are 2 syllables, the first a vowel and the second a consonant plus a nasal vowel. Even though in writing the N looks like a separate consonant, the combination of vowel plus N actually shows a nasal vowel. An example of a syllabic nasal is one form of the pronoun meaning I, which is used in negative sentences. Some other interesting consonants in Yoruba are velar labial stops, kp and kb. They have a double articulation at the lips and at the back of the roof of the mouth. Kp, kb. The letter P in writing represents the sound p. There's no simple p sound in the language. Other notable features. The basic word order of Yoruba is SVO.
wọ́n ra ilé,
This sentence means they bought a house. Word for word, they buy house. Note that in speech, this is pronounced like,
wọ́n ra lé,
because when a word ending in a vowel is followed by a word that begins with a vowel, they blend together. This SVO order can change with a focus construction. Ni marks the focus.
àwọn ni wọ́n ra ilé,
They bought a house, or it is they who bought a house. This is still SVO, but the subject is the focus.
àwọn,
Is the emphatic pronoun meaning they, and it's followed by the focus marker.
ilé ni wọ́n rà,
They bought a house, or a house is what they bought. This is now OSV, and the object is the focus. If you notice that
rà,
has a different tone in this sentence, that's because in its basic form it has a low tone, but before a direct object it has a mid-tone, like in the SVO version of this sentence. A couple of other things to note about Yoruba's grammar. It has no grammatical gender, no noun cases, no plural forms, and no definite or indefinite articles. This is good news for people who have no patience for learning the ins and outs of grammar. Verbs are also not conjugated for person, number, or gender, or tense for that matter. Tense and aspect markers are placed before the verb to indicate time. When it's just the verb stem on its own, for a dynamic verb that indicates simple past. For a state of verb it indicates present or past.
mo sùn,
I slept.
mò ń sùn,
I'm sleeping, or I was sleeping. This is the progressive or imperfective aspect. Note that before the progressive marker n, the pronoun mo becomes mo, with a low tone. N is also another example of a syllabic nasal.
mo ti sùn,
I've slept. This is the perfective aspect.
mo ti ń sùn,
I've been sleeping, the perfect progressive form.
mo máa sùn,
I will sleep, in the future tense. Now that we've seen some standout features of Yoruba, let's look at some basic phrases.
ẹ ǹlẹ́,
This is one way to give a general greeting like hello, but you can also use a greeting for the specific time of day.
ẹ káàárọ̀,
Good morning. Note that if there's more than one tone in one syllable, then the vowel is normally written once for each tone. These 3 A's are all part of a single syllable, but with a high-low-high progression.
ẹ káàsán,
Good afternoon,
ẹ káalẹ́,
good evening, or good night. Note that is honorific and is not used when speaking to friends, colleagues, and people younger than you. It's the second person plural personal pronoun, which is also used for the honorific second person singular. The main word in each greeting is a contraction of ku, a verb used to mark greetings, plus a noun.
àárọ̀,
Is the word for morning,
ọ̀sán,
is the word for midday,
alẹ́,
is the word for evening or night.
kí ni orúkọ rẹ,
What's your name? Informal. Word for word it's what, focus marker, name, your. But it might also be said with contractions.
kí lorúkọ ẹ,
Notice that the nasal sound becomes a l sound when ni contracts to the following word, and the r sound is lost. The formal way to say it is
kí ni orúkọ yín, yín,
is the second person plural possessive adjective, but also the formal or polite second person singular.
orúkọ mi ni Paul,
My name is Paul. Word for word it's name, my, focus marker, Paul. Notice that the noun and the possessive adjective me function as one unit, as a noun phrase, and the focus marker comes after it. Another way to say the sentence is
Paul ni orúkọ mi,
word for word it's Paul, focus marker, name, my. In this sentence, the focus is on the name, so you could think of it like Paul is my name, or my name is Paul, with stress on the name. And when spoken naturally, it might be
Paul lorúkọ mi.
because as we saw before, ni becomes li.
Inú mi dùn láti pàdé rẹ.
Nice to meet you. Word for word, it's insides, my, pleasant, infinitive marker, meet, you. In this sentence, we see the phrase
Inú mi dùn.
which means I'm happy, but literally it's more like my insides are pleasant. Then we see
Láti pàdé.
meaning to meet, in which lati is the infinitive marker.
Níbo ni ibùdó ọkọ̀ akérò wà?
Where's the bus station? Word for word, it's where, focus marker, station, bus, located.
Níbo
Is the interrogative pronoun meaning where. Here it's the focus and is marked with ni. Interrogative pronouns are always the focus.
ibùdó
Means station, and
ọkọ̀ akérò
means bus.
wà?
Is a verb meaning to be located at.
O ní bàtà tó dára.
You have nice shoes. Word for word, you have shoes that are nice. Simple adjectives in Yoruba come directly after the noun, but dara is actually a descriptive verb, meaning to be nice. So it can't come directly after the noun. It needs this connecting word.
Tó
To is actually a contraction of,
tí ó.
meaning that is or that are.
Ọ̀rẹ́ mi fún mi ní bàtà wọ̀nyí.
My friend gave me these shoes. Word for word, friend, my, give, me, direct object marker, shoe, these.
Ọ̀rẹ́
Means friend, and is followed by the possessive adjective me. Fún mi means give me, but note that the verb is understood in the past tense in its base form like this. Me is the indirect object. When there's an indirect object, then the direct object takes a special marker. Ni
bàtà
means shoe, and
wọ̀nyí.
is a plural demonstrative, meaning these.
Ṣé o gbọ́ èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì?
Do you speak English? Word for word, yes, no, question marker, you, here, language, English. In this sentence, we see how to form a yes or no question in Yoruba. You add the question marker.
Ṣé
Without the question marker, this would be a statement.
o gbọ́ èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì?
You speak English.
Gbọ́
Is actually the verb meaning hear, but it's used when saying you're proficient in a language. The word for language is,
èdè
and
Gẹ̀ẹ́sì.
is the word for English. It comes from the Portuguese word inglés.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, mo gbọ́ èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì.
Yes, I speak English. Word for word, yes, I hear language English.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni,
Is the word for yes.
rárá, n kò gbọ́ èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì.
No, I don't speak English. Word for word, it's no, I not hear language English.
Rárá,
Is the word for no. Note that the first person singular pronoun mo becomes ing before the negation marker ko, like inko. To express what you like, you can use the phrase
mo fẹ́ràn.
I like.
Mo fẹ́ràn ológbò.
I like cats. Word for word, I like cat. To say I don't like it's.
N kò fẹ́ràn.
Again, notice the negation marker and the different form of the pronoun.
N kò fẹ́ràn ajá.
I don't like dogs. Word for word, it's I don't like dog. To express that you like to do something, it's,
Mo fẹ́ràn láti.
for example, I like to learn languages.
Mo fẹ́ràn láti kọ́ èdè.
Word for word, it's I like, infinitive marker, learn language.
Láti
Is an infinitive marker, but on its own is also a preposition meaning from or since.
kọ́
Means learn. And again we see the word for language.
èdè.
However, when expressing that you want to do something, lati is not used.
Mo fẹ́.
I want to.
Mo fẹ́ kọ́ èdè Yorùbá.
I want to learn Yoruba. After this brief little look into Yoruba, I'm sure you can agree that it looks like a fun and fascinating language, and one that's not too intimidating, at least in certain ways, such as its lack of grammatical gender, noun cases, plural forms, and articles. The main thing that might seem intimidating is the tonal system, and the way it's represented with accent markings in writing. But those accent markings can help you know the tones of words even when you just see them in writing, and you can remember the tones visually as well as by sound. If you're a speaker of Yoruba, to what extent do you use the standard language, and to what extent do you use your dialect? How easy is it to communicate with speakers of different Yoruba dialects? And to other people, what's your